All right, welcome back. We have completed our pottery, or pinch pots, and we are going to proceed to glaze them. Now they are bisque fired like this one here, and are a white color and are ready to be glazed. Now I have a large assortment of glazes in different colors here, like this one is chocolate brown, and the color that comes out of the jar will be slightly different than the color that it will be when it's finished. I have a label on each of the jars of what the finished look is. I also, on the counter there, on the doors, are these stars, and it shows the finished, what it looks like when it's finished. It will automatically be glossy. There's flux already in with the glaze, and so there's no need to overglaze with a clear coat. It will already be glossy like this. The only reason you would clear coat is if you wanted an area that was white and you wanted to add a gloss finish to it. So that would be what you would use for white. In both the cabinets, I have some that are called a crystal tex type of glaze, which is like this, and solid colors like this. Most of the times with the stars, I have given it 1, 2, and 3 coats, so the more intense color will be at the bottom because there's more coats, fewer coats at the top. In many of these that are the crystal tex, there's little granular pieces in them, and those when they're fired, they kind of pop out in these extra colors there. So that's what gives us the multiple colors in the glaze. All right, now there's a couple of things that you can do when you're glazing. If you want some kind of a design, I do recommend that you draw right onto the clay. Any pencil that you use to draw onto the clay body here will burn off and will not be seen. So if you have a design in mind and you would like to create a design, draw it out first and apply the glaze in those areas that you want. It works best if you apply glaze on just in specific areas and not coat it with different colors of glaze. Most of the glazes are somewhat transparent, so you would see through one glaze to another. All right, now I also always recommend that you either shake up the jar with the lid on it. Be careful, hold the lid tight. Sometimes these do kind of the lids get away from us. Or you can stir it. If you do find that it's really thick and it doesn't seem like it should be the consistency, see me and I do thin them just a little bit with water if they've gotten just a little bit thick. In this type of glaze, you can do that. All right, so let's see, and I also always recommend that you apply about 2 coats, 3 coats. Please don't go crazy and apply 9 coats. That's too many. When we are glazing these will, if you applied too many coats, that would probably drip off and attach itself to the kiln shelf. Now, in this case, I am allowing you, since these have kind of a flat bottom and easy to stilt, you can glaze the bottoms. This is what I do in the kiln. I put them on the shelf and the kiln, and I put these little stilts. That keeps this area, because this is all going to kind of melt on here, and it would also melt onto the shelf. But these little stilts prevent the clay project not to stick. All right, so there's a couple things that I thought I would mention also. You are welcome to use sandpaper and sand this down. You can kind of smooth out the surface. You can't take big chunks off, but you can kind of give it a little bit more smooth surface if you decided you wanted to sand it a little bit. If you did sand it, I would recommend also you take it over to the sink and rinse it just a little bit and rinse off that dust. That dust does create something that's called crawling, which will prevent sometimes the glaze from sticking in certain places. It'll be splotchy in some places. Let's see, what else? Yeah. Now I'm going to also talk about applying things. If you've created some kind of a texture like I have in both of these here, what I have done here is I've applied a dark color. I've chosen dark brown here. I've applied that dark brown, just a thin coat, and got it into the crevices there, and then I'm going to go over to the sink and take a sponge to it and take away what is on the surface and leave the glaze in the crevices. So now I've got this. It does coat the surface with just a little bit of the dark color. If you don't like that, you could kind of scrub it a little bit more, maybe add a little sanding to it as well. But the color that's in the crevices will stay there, unless of course you scrubbed it very, very thoroughly. That will stay there. Then you can go over it with a secondary lighter color. It works best if it's a lighter color. You can cover the whole thing with the second color. In this case, I used a light green. I covered it, gave it 2 coats, covered it inside and out and the bottom, and it's all set to go to be fired. All right, this concludes my instructions on glazing. Stay tuned for any other tips and tricks. Thank you.